Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks.
Thank you.
Dougie Sticks Freeman, always joining the fun or the circus, however you want to call
it's fun.
This shindig. Yeah, it's fun with a little bit of circus mixed in. Welcome to the program, everybody. Episode number nueve. The Spanish style of the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, heard across iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and a bunch of other stuff that I am not familiar with, but it's out there.
You name it, you're on it.
We're on it. So welcome to the program, coming to you as always from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey, where we got a little bit of rain, and we are just giving you a little fair warning today, that if there are technical difficulties, the weather outside today is not great, and apparently is playing games with the Wi-Fi.
You beat me to the punch, yes. It's playing games with us, so we're smooth right now. So let's go full force while we got it.
We're going to try to make it through the next 40 minutes just as smooth, but bear with us if we have any roadblocks or hurdles along the way. And as always, feel free to send in your questions and keep doing so to our email on the show, mypbshow@gmail.com. That's mypbshow@gmail.com. So welcome to the program. We're going to do a little opposite run through of the order today based on a guest that we're going to have joining us in a little bit. So we're going to start with NFL, and we'll leave hockey for the main dish. We'll make the NFL today the appetizer, and then we'll have a little main dish of hockey, which is kind of what we like. Mind Your Puckin' Business is a hockey show, so it should be that way. So let's start with the NFL. And you know what I did when I was last night, Dougie Sticks, when I was going through kind of the rundown of what we're going to talk about today, as my daughter was watching High School Musical, so I had some time to daydream and get away from that. I was thinking about getting your opinion on something.
Ooh.
The New York Jets are have you ever? Well, it's two-part question.
Yes.
Have you ever remembered a team being so terrible? And then the second question is, do you ever remember a team that you like being so terrible?
Actually, yes to both questions. So I went to school in Buffalo.
Okay.
And when I was in school at Buffalo, the Bills were pretty bad.
Well, okay, but now my wife went to school up there a little before you.
Yeah.
I don't know where they. I mean, this is rock bottom.
Okay, so you could argue the Bills, you could argue the Browns, but no, not that. I don't think we've reached this low.
So the other day, the Jets are the 4:00 game versus the Dolphins, and they lose 24-0. Like, they're so bad they can't even score at all. It is halfway through the first quarter, and my buddy, who we've talked about on the show, who loves to bet, but he lives in New York City, so he can't. So he does it on my account, where it's legal in New Jersey. So there's nothing shady about that at all. Totally legal. Says to me, look at the Jets spread. Now, the Jets game is literally 6 minutes in. The live spread 6 minutes in is the Dolphins -21. I mean, that's unfathomable. I mean, that is rock bottom of all bottoms.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's so many paths we could take this conversation. So, you're so bad, Le'Veon Bell, they just released him. They didn't even trade him. You're like, you got that. There's now talks that Trevor Lawrence is going to pull an Eli Manning.
I heard that.
It's so bad right now that, you can't even attract talent to one of the biggest markets in the world.
So it's funny. Last night at my son's soccer practice, I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about the Trevor Lawrence situation. And I had said, well, you know what? Why would he want to pull back? Because if you're a quarterback and you're a star quarterback, being in the New York media market is got to be a shoo-in for endorsement deals, right? Absolutely. And my friend had a good point. He said, yeah, but you need to be successful, right? If you're a quarterback and you're going 2-14 every year in New York, it doesn't matter if you're here. You're terrible. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's so bad. And then, Adam Gase, who, in a normal situation, but if it wasn't the Jets and they're anything from normal, any normal team would fire their coach by now. He's 0-6. They're not even competitive. They're just getting blown out.
Maybe they want it. Maybe they want it.
Well, the thought was, I read an interesting article yesterday, I think it was in the New York Post, that maybe the Jets are better off keeping him because it's helping this tanking, right? You don't want to bring in an interim coach who's going to play for his job now and get your team to be 3-13 or 2-14 and cost yourself the opportunity for the first pick. Because right now, Atlanta, who was winless, won this weekend. The Giants were winless. They won this weekend. I'm pretty sure the Jets are the only winless team. So if the season were to end today, the Jets own the number 1 pick. And then the other thing you have to keep in mind with the coronavirus situation, the season really can end at any time. We don't want it to, but I think it's something you have to look at. So if the season were to end early and the Jets are sitting in that number 1 spot, Trevor Lawrence, New York could use you. Do not pull an Eli Manning. But it is just unbelievably terrible. It's not even watchable.
And now the Kansas City Chiefs got Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, for nothing.
For nothing.
The Jets give up guys that was their prized free agent signing 2 summers ago for nothing.
What's going on with Sam Darnold right now, too? Like, is he just I'm taking some time off? Is he even hurt? What's going on?
Right. Well, you know what? He's clearly not, and you hate to say this, but he's clearly not worthy of or he hasn't shown yet, and I'm not thinking it's ever going to come, worthy of the praise that he was when he came here.
Yeah.
Do you remember draft night? That night, it was a Thursday. Well, every NFL draft is on Thursday. When the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, and you watched Baker Mayfield go 1 to the Browns, and everyone was saying how the best quarterback of the bunch fell into the Jets' lap. And the general manager at the time of the Jets was saying that this was exactly who we would have picked at number 1, and now we got him at number 3. This couldn't have broke better for us. And now look where we are.
I don't have many jerseys. I have a Sam Darnold jersey.
You'll have to wear it on the show one day so we can make fun of you.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to have to sell it soon, so I might as well wear it next episode.
You should at least get something for that. The Jets give away Le'Veon Bell for free. You should at least get something for your jersey. Even if it's a free Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
Pumpkin latte that you like.
Oh, yeah.
So we head into week 7 of the NFL season. And we'll talk about our week 6 recap on our 5 games that we picked. Now, coincidentally, like last week, we went into the Monday night game not knowing if we were going to have a winning week or not. We were 2-2 going into last night. We had gotten the Jacksonville plus 3.5 wrong, home versus Detroit. The Ravens -8 at Philly. We had right the entire game. And Philly started scoring towards the end. And still lost, but ruined our cover. So we lost those 2, but we hit the Bengals +8 in Indy. And then we also hit the Bears getting points in Panthers. Well, they won the game outright, so we didn't even need the points. So we were 2 for 2 going into last night. And I felt pretty confident. And I said, you know what? Here we are going into, we were in week 6. We had been 4 winning weeks, 1 losing week. Let's keep it going. And the chips didn't align as Dallas got blown the freak out last night at home. We had Dallas getting +3. Now, the spread had moved, and I said last week on the show the spread was going to move. The spread moved 4 points in the direction that Dallas was actually giving 1 point last night, and Arizona still won by 28. So it didn't matter how many points or where the line moved. And so we ended up with a little bit of a losing week, went 2-3, moving our record to 4 winning weeks and 2 losing weeks so far on the season. We move now into week number 7.
You're not even a touch base on any of the Cowboys debacle.
No, you
don't even want to talk about that.
I'm fine with it because fantasy wise, last night in my big league that I care about, I went into it. I was up 10 with the Dallas kicker. And he had DeAndre Hopkins. And for some reason, DeAndre Hopkins didn't do anything. So I got lucky. Nice. So when I look at the game last night, I have a positive taste in my mouth. I don't need to rub it in. But the Giants now, at 1-5, if they win on Thursday night in Philly, I am pretty sure they are in first place or tied for a share of first place.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
Right. I mean, 2020 is the weirdest year we've all probably ever seen. Let it be weird that the Giants and Eagles are playing a Week 7 game on Thursday Night Football, where the Giants are 1-5, and first place is on the line.
You can make the playoffs and get a second-round pick.
Yeah,
only in 2020.
Yeah. Only in 2020. Yes, so it's a 2020 special.
Yeah,
buy 1 pick, get a first place divisional home game for free. So our week 7 picks as we fly through the NFL season, as it always does. Let's start here. Atlanta this weekend, and I'm mad at myself because I almost picked this game last weekend. I didn't. They were getting 3.5 in Minnesota. They had a new coach. They fired their coach. They blew out Minnesota, and now they come home. They're giving 2.5 to Detroit. Detroit's terrible. I mean, I know they beat Jacksonville, but Jacksonville might as well be the Jets. Give me Atlanta -2.5 at home versus Detroit. Julio Jones was back, had a crazy good game. Thank you very much to my fantasy team on that. We reaped the reward of Julio this weekend. -2.5 is not a lot versus Detroit, and it seems maybe the new coach righted the ship. -2.5 at home, I'll take Atlanta. A game of the week. You have two undefeated teams. This game was supposed to be played 3 weeks ago and got canceled for Corona. So the makeup of this game is this week, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers undefeated at the undefeated Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's getting 1.5 at home. Give me Tennessee. I'm not really 100% sold on Pittsburgh. They haven't had the hardest schedule yet. They played the Cincy's of the world and the Cleveland Browns of the world, the Houston world so far. Tennessee, Eric Henry, me versus Pittsburgh. I am going to do what I do not like to do, and that is pick one of the local games this week in the live. I am going to go into that Thursday night showdown we just talked about, and I am going to take the Giants plus 3.5. Do I think the Giants will win? They can, but 3.5 gives me protection of a field goal. Yeah. They lose on a last-second field goal. They lose in overtime. I'm still getting the cover. Give me the Giants plus 3.5 at Philly. And Philly's got a lot of injuries. Zach Ertz is out now. Miles Sanders, I don't think, is playing. So give me the Giants plus 3.5. The other team, and I'm going to go back on a theory I had a couple weeks ago and it worked, so I'm going to stick with it. The Jacksonville Jaguars are getting 8 at the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers are a much better team than Jacksonville. However, there was a couple weeks ago, the Carolina Panthers went into the Chargers. They were getting 9. And I said, the LA Chargers, in their history, never blow anybody out. All their games are always close if they're going to win it. So I'm getting 8. Give me 8 with Jacksonville in LA. Last game, I'm going to take the Monday night game next week. So I'm sure we're going to go into a 2-2 and like be suspenseful Monday night. Give me the Bears plus 5.5 at the LA Rams. The LA Rams really did not look good in San Francisco. And again, 5.5 is a lot. I don't know if the Bears will win that game, but 5.5 is a lot of points. I'm going to take that. So the 5 picks for the week: Atlanta minus 2.5 home versus Detroit, Tennessee plus 1.5 in the undefeated showdown versus Pittsburgh, the Giants plus 3.5 on the Thursday night first place battle at the Eagles, the Jacksonville Jaguars getting 8 in LA, and the Bears on Monday Night Football next week getting 5.5 at the Rams. Now, we always do pick the Jets game. We always, just for fun, if we don't pick the New York game. And I am not sure what the Jets line is. So I'm going to do this. Whatever Buffalo is giving, take Buffalo. I don't even care what the line is. I'm taking Buffalo. I don't care if it's probably.
I'm usually very prepared and I have it for you, but I don't want to use the bandwidth, right?
Fine.
I don't want to mess with the internet.
You know what, Dougie Sticks? It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even matter.
I'm taking the Bills if they're giving 13.
Score last week.
I'm taking the Bills if they're giving 6. They're probably giving over a little bit over a touchdown would be my guess, because they also haven't looked good the last 2 weeks, Buffalo. But guess what? I'm not dumb. I'm taking Buffalo until otherwise. So those are our week 7 picks. Do you want to entertain any Jets bet? Do you want to jump in and tell me what
you want me to go against you? No, Jets are going to lose. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not saying go against me. I want your prediction.
Oh, I mean, they're playing Buffalo. Josh Allen's going to have a field day.
Who I am playing this week in fantasy, which is awful. I saw that this morning. Not who you want your opposing quarterback to be going against the Jets.
Going against them. I thought you had him.
No. Worse.
Yeah, my quarterback situation's all messed up. And actually, the brother of our guest today took Andy Dalton from me because I had Dak, and just to stick it to me in the waiver wire. By the way, we don't have to go down this road. The waiver wire is a joke, man. Whoever made the rules for this waiver wire, if my quarterback Dak Prescott gets injured, and I'm the first one watching it, and I pick up Andy Dalton, I should get him. I should be first in line to get him. This whole waiver wire BS.
Here's where I will disagree a little bit because I got burned in the past.
Okay. How do you get burned? Explain, please.
All right. Here's how I got burned. So when I graduated college in 2002, fantasy football was just becoming a thing, and I was like addicted. I mean, I'm into it now, but I mean, I was like addicted to the point where I would lose games and I wouldn't sleep. So we used to watch games at my buddy's house on Sundays. Yeah. Now we would have one computer because we were in his parents' family room. Right. And we would all be sitting there watching the games. Now, if somebody went down, was injured, one of the 3 of us is literally elbowing the other to get to the computer to log on to Yahoo to get it.
Okay.
The other problem that I have with it now, I don't have the time on Sundays with kids to be the first to jump on because someone just got hurt in some West Coast game that I'm not aware of. Then it was my running back. Okay. So the waiver wire is a little bit fair. It is annoying, though, in those situations where you should be entitled to the backup. You have the guy that got hurt that he's replacing, and the other guy has a higher priority number than you. Yeah, it's annoying. But it is, in my eyes, fair, even though it can be frustrating.
During those times with dial-up internet and you're all watching in one room and have to share a computer, sure, I get it then. In this day and age, we all have cell phones that could do it instantly. I feel like there should be some you should get some kind of benefit for reacting first come, first serve.
Okay, but what happens though if you're I'll take this Sunday for example.
Okay,
the games are on. My daughter has a soccer game. I'm sitting at the field. In front of my eyes are these girls running back and forth playing soccer.
Yeah,
and my running back Saquon tears his ACL.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I have my phone. You're right. I could log on at any time, but I'm not aware.
Yeah, this thing's called an Apple Watch, and I get notifications, and I'll be like, "Your player just got."
Oh, really?
Yeah, fantasy gets my notifications go from my phone right to the Apple Watch.
I didn't even know. Okay, live stuff happens.
I get touchdown notifications.
Look at you,
dude! I'm like, all right, sweet. I got scored. I scored right now. And like Dak just broke his ankle. Like I got that.
Wow, jump on but you know what? Then you try and get Andy Dalton, and you can't because you're number 7 on the waiver line.
Yes, exactly.
I get it.
There's my pain.
I get it. So those are our week 7 picks coming up. And again, hard to believe we're at week 7. I was going to say like week 5 or 6 because it doesn't feel like it, but we are flying through October and we are a week and a half away already for Halloween. So we'll shift gears to the NHL. And before we bring our guest on, I want to talk about one thing that I saw last week with the NHL that drove me crazy. And it kills me to say this because I'm going to do something that I don't know that I've ever done this in my life, and it's painful to do. And it's going to say something positive about probably the professional sports team that I cannot stand the most, and that is the New Jersey Devils. There is no secret that I'm a season ticket holder for the Rangers. It's what we talk most about is New York Ranger hockey. But I saw something the other day that really left me annoyed, and it was kind of like pro Devils. So let me explain to you, because I know you're not, you don't know where I'm going at all.
I have no clue where it's going.
We don't rehearse this ahead of time. So I'm going to tell you exactly where we're going, the story. And you tell me if you're a New Jersey Devil fan, if you don't have a right to just be like pissed off.
So Devil fans are going to be pissed off.
Yeah. No. And
we're on a beach. Devil fans pissed off.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be objective. Which I try to do, especially when we're doing this. When I'm in front of my TV at home, all bets are off.
Sure.
So Taylor Hall was a young, this is 10 years ago, was a young prospect that got drafted first overall in the draft in 2010 by the Edmonton Oilers. So as we've talked about a lot the last couple of weeks with the Rangers having the first pick this year, when you're the first pick in the draft this is not rocket science. You're supposed to be good, right? It doesn't always pan out. You're supposed to be good. Taylor Hall is the first pick in the 2010 draft. He goes to the Edmonton Oilers, has some success out there over the years. I would say probably did okay with his stats in Edmonton. Ended up getting traded in 2016, I believe it was, from Edmonton in the most lopsided trade maybe in NHL history, at least in recent history. They got traded from Edmonton to the Devils. The Devils gave up a defenseman named Adam Larson, who was like, not has never amounted to anything. So Taylor Hall comes to New Jersey.
Okay.
For the Devils, it's a great trade. You're taking kind of like a risk on a guy who's got his ceiling is enormously high. Let's see what he can do. And we're only giving up a defenseman, Adam Larson, who wasn't great.
Yeah.
Actually, that trade was part of the reason that the general manager in Edmonton, Peter Chiarelli, ended up getting fired. That's how bad the trade was.
Wow.
So Taylor Hall comes to New Jersey, and in the 2017-2018 season has an MVP season. I'm not just saying he's having an MVP season, that he's having a good year. He literally wins the MVP for the league, the Hart Trophy.
Nice.
That's how good of a year he had. Now, it was really annoying.
Go Devils.
Yeah, well, no, I won't say that. In the spring of that year, they played the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round of the playoffs. Now, they got bounced in 5 games, but if you were around here, and you were, but you probably weren't coherent to notice this. There were Taylor Hall jerseys all over the place. It drove me freaking crazy. But the fans of
were the Rangers going to get them?
No. The Rangers. No, I don't like the Devils doing well.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
just wanted to clear that up for everybody.
No. So he has this MVP season. He was unstoppable that year. He wins the Hart Trophy, which is the MVP season in hockey. And then the last 2 years, he kind of regresses a little bit. He's not terrible. And I think some of it in his defense, maybe the supporting cast around him, kind of goes down a little bit. And he's going to be a free agent this coming summer. So the Devils realize correctly during the season, he's not going to resign here in the summer. We need to do something. Unlike the Jets, who toss away Le'Veon Bell, we have this chip in Taylor Hall. It's an asset. We need to get something for him. Okay. So the Devils do what the Rangers seem to do a lot. And that is when you need to make a trade, you make a trade with an organization that just loves to make dumb trades. And that's the Arizona Coyotes.
All right.
So they call the Arizona Coyotes and they agree to trade Taylor Hall. This was right before coronavirus starts in the winter. And they trade Taylor Hall to Arizona for 3 prospects, a first-round pick, which ended up being the 18th pick in the first round, so a high pick, and a third-round pick. So Arizona now pays a heavy price to get this rental, is really what he is, right?
Okay.
You have him under contract for the rest of the season. But Arizona has first right, well, not first right, but first dibs to try and re-sign him because you can re-sign him during the year. He's your property.
Okay.
This guy just doesn't give Arizona the time of day to re-sign.
Talking about Taylor
Hall. Now, Arizona gets screwed because Taylor Hall just doesn't want to play there. After they've just given up 3 prospects, a first-round pick, and a third-round pick. Now, here's where I got annoyed last week.
Funny. Go ahead.
He ended up signing last week with one of your favorite teams, the Buffalo Sabres. 1 year, $8 million. Now, 2 things here, and the second thing is what drove me nuts. The first thing is he said that he wanted to go to a winner. He went to Buffalo, dude.
What?
Now, he went to Buffalo for a 1 year, $8 million contract. Newsflash, you're not going to win in Buffalo.
Yeah.
The NHL, as we've talked about, expanded the playoffs to include 24 out of the 32 teams. Buffalo wasn't even still going to make it. But here's the funny part about it. Apparently, he had gotten a $6.5 million offer to go to Colorado Avalanche, which is great. Yeah. You can win in Colorado. We've talked about my love on this show of Nathan McKinnon and some of the other young talent they have there. Cole Makar, we've talked about. And he just chooses not to go there. So to say you want to go to Buffalo to win is a joke because you go to Buffalo to eat wings. You don't go there to win. But here's the thing that drove me nuts. There was a quote last week, and it picked up a lot of press, where he said, upon signing in Buffalo, I was finally able to land somewhere where I feel wanted, and the feeling is mutual. Now, if you're a Devils fan,
yeah, you'd be pissed.
You'd be pissed.
Everyone's wearing your jersey, man.
Because people here treated that dude with so much respect. I remember watching the playoff round versus Tampa in 2018 because the Rangers didn't make the playoffs that year. That was the first year they didn't make it. And the entire, when they did the panoramic shots of the arena, you know how many Taylor Hall jerseys there were? And this dude is now saying that he was going to land somewhere where he's wanted, like he wasn't wanted here.
In a close seconds, bro door. You know what I mean?
Probably.
And he's not even playing anymore.
So this guy, man, I mean, Taylor Hall is becoming an athlete that is very, very easy to root against. Extraordinarily, just the jerk. So you know what? I don't wish him a lot of success in Buffalo. He's not going to win there either, like he thinks he is.
So you're the guru, right? I'm just here to make you look good and help you and be the supporting cast here. So explain something to me, like you got the first round pick like last year, right? Which was that stud center, correct? The Devils.
Yeah, they had. Jack Hughes. Yeah.
Okay, so you got Jack Hughes. Are the Devils with Taylor? Are they a contender? Did it look like if he stayed there? Does it look like they had something going? Or
yes, and they thought there was talk that the Devils landing the first pick last year to get Jack Hughes was going to help re-sign Taylor Hall because I guess they work out together in the offseason. And it didn't. And so you know what? And now he's going to Buffalo to try to win. Good luck with that, bro. if the Buffalo Sabres win the Stanley Cup next year, I mean, you know what? Send us an email. The first 1,000 people will get free Dunkin' Donuts from me. I'm not worried about it.
It's like an oxymoron accentuating on the moron.
Right, oxymoron. Buffalo winning. Buffalo winning. Don't tell my wife's friends from college that. But anyway, so just wanted to touch on that. So let's all not root for Taylor Hall next year. So why don't you introduce our guest?
Absolutely.
Because I'll let you introduce our guest.
Because I feel like Lukas wants to chime in here. I see he's shaking his head. He definitely agrees with most of it. I could see him right now in the background, the lobby, in the internet lobby here. But Lukas Favale, dear friend of mine, I've known him for half of his life. I'm good friends with his brother, but Lukas is in broadcasting. He's the announcer for the Syracuse Crunch. He's doing big things. He's very entertaining. He's a great personality, and we're very excited to have him. So let's bring him in, Lukas Favale.
How are you, Lukas?
What's up,
doing
buddy?
Well, guys. Hello. How's everyone doing today?
We're doing great. So, Lucas, I saw you, in the internet lobby shaking your head, whether that was an ingredients or you feel passionate about the same things that Jeff here is. Do you have anything you want to chime in from that last 5-minute conversation?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is stunning that he ended up in Buffalo talking about Taylor Hall. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I do think Buffalo will be better because of that, but you're right, Jeff. I mean, there's no way he's winning a champ, at least not this upcoming year. He's not even in Buffalo's not in a conversation for a Stanley Cup anytime soon. So I think what he said and what he did are kind of clashing with each other, which is. I guess that's Taylor Hall. He's got a good 1-year contract. He plays for a coach that he played for in Edmonton and Ralph Kruger. So I guess that's part of the allure for him. But I don't know. I don't see that, at least not this year, working out for him. Although he's kind of betting on himself and hoping for a long-term deal at the end of this 1-year, $8 million contract for him. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, look, if you want to win, and you have a contract offer for $6.5 million for 1 year to go to Colorado and play with McKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog and all those guys out there. Go out there, my God! What are you going to Buffalo for?
Right, and he saw exactly what Colorado can do in the playoffs when they just wiped the floor with Arizona. So if Colorado was healthy, I think they would have challenged for the Cup. They just had so many injuries by the time they got eliminated. So yeah, they're as good as it gets in the West. I'm very surprised that he did not end up there. And then chose Buffalo instead, which nothing against Buffalo. Buffalo is a great hockey market. I mean, every year they've got the great fans. They're always watching the Stanley Cup final, even though the Sabres are terrible. So if we get to the point where we have fans in NHL buildings, I'm sure it'll be a great atmosphere for him. But I don't see any success on the ice, at least in the immediate future, for him and for the Sabres.
What? That yesterday, kind of out of nowhere, became news that Doc Emrick was retiring. Doc Emrick is the lead NHL play-by-play guy, really for C, but you can in the Jersey area, probably double games with Chico Ranch. He was the play-by-play guy for full time. Tell me a little bit, if you don't mind, Lucas, on your thoughts. Obviously, you're a play-by-play guy in the AHL, so you know the business better than we will ever know. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Doc Emrick.
Yeah, I mean, Doc is the top of the mountain for any NHL or hockey broadcaster, really broadcasting in general. I mean, he wins the sports Emmys every year for play-by-play and whatnot. I mean, he is so great at what he has done over the years. And really, he's been the voice of hockey in the United States for, the last 15, 20 years at least. He does the Winter Olympics, all the Winter Classics, the Stanley Cup Finals, the playoffs. As you said, he was here in New Jersey for all these years. So people who have watched hockey over the last 15, 20 years he's synonymous with it here in the U.S. So just everything he's done, the way he calls the game, the description, the wordsmith that he is, everything about it, all the stories he works in. He's just a great voice for hockey over the years, a great ambassador for the game over the years, and the way he presents it on NBC and when he was on MSG here in New Jersey and whatnot. It's just tremendous. And then just a great person as well. So you've got the whole body of work that he's put together. I mean, he is as good as it gets, and to see him, leaving the game, it's going to be weird. Whoever fills in for him now and takes over as the lead voice at NBC, whether it's John Forsland, who did all the work in the playoffs this past year for NBC, or Brendan Burke, who works for the Islanders, and he's had a lot of stuff on it. Whoever it might be, boy, those are big shoes to fill, because Doc he's going to go down as maybe the greatest ever to call hockey. So it's going to be something.
My vote's for Lukas Favale.
So that we'll start the campaign for you, Lucas.
Oh, thank you.
We should do it. What do you think? Do you think Kenny Albert has a shot at it? I know he sometimes does NBC games.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. He would, I'm sure.
Do you think Kenny Albert has a shot?
Yeah, he's so busy though. That's the thing. He's doing everything. NFL, the Rangers on radio. He does NBC stuff. He does the Knicks at times. I mean, he's all baseball. He does everything. So he's got such a jam-packed schedule. But he's also as good as it gets in hockey too. So I think he'd be in the running. The guys I mentioned could be in the running. I don't know who it's going to be, but like I said, it's not going to be easy to replace Doc.
No, and you know what? Watching games with Doc, whether you were a Devil fan or not, or now obviously in the national scope, I mean, the word, you're right. Wordsmith was an excellent word to use to describe him, because he can just tell a story during the game of the game and lock you in. I mean, it's just unbelievably talented. It's a loss for hockey. We'll miss him in the playoffs, especially because obviously once you get to the Stanley Cup Finals, he's at every game. I mean, there's no other voice. He is the voice of the Stanley Cup Finals, whether your team is in it or not. So you're up in Syracuse, and Syracuse Crunch is the AHL affiliate of the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Was that exciting for you, since you kind of know some of those guys in Tampa?
Yeah, it was great. We were here in Syracuse very excited as the Lightning were going through. We've obviously been following them over the years. The Crunch have been affiliated with Tampa Bay since the 2012-13 season. So 8 years now with Tampa Bay. It's one of the longest affiliations for the Crunch. And you look at the Lightning roster, 18 players at one point had come through Syracuse and developed here in the American Hockey League with the Crunch, and were on the Lightning's roster, whether they had a big impact or where they were one of the Black Aces who were there in the bubbles and practicing and whatnot, or whatever it might be. 18 players had come through at some point here over the years with the Crunch and got to Tampa Bay. 3 coaches, including their head coach, John Cooper. 5 hockey operations staff members, including their general manager, Julian Brisebois, was the GM here in Syracuse. So the Crunch's fingerprints are all over the Lightning. So for people who've been involved in the organization, or for Crunch fans over the years to see their success, I mean, they've been, obviously, as you know, a very good team for the last 5, 6, 7 years. To see them finally break through and win the Cup was very exciting for all of us here, and it was very rewarding for the organization, and to see them in this very weird playoff find their way through in what was probably the most challenging Cup to win, at least from what everyone has been talking about. It was great to see.
Yeah, we talked on the program a couple of weeks ago about there was a thing that was trending on Twitter about someone posting right after Tampa Bay winning about how it wasn't a valid cup and all that stuff because there was no travel. And the argument I thought was easy to make the other way. You were taken away for your families for 2 months. You couldn't have home ice advantage, which Tampa would have had because they would have been the top seed. So, yeah, I mean, that was not an easy cup to win. I don't understand the counter argument that it was not valid or whatever, because I think it was harder to win this year. And you had a layoff, too, for 3 months.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they were offered all that time, and they finally come back, and, you know, you have a jam-packed couple weeks of training camp, and you get a couple of exhibition games. I mean, the Lightning and the top four seeds in each conference at least had a couple of round-robin games where they were for seeding, but they didn't really count in terms of playoff games. But to go through all of that, and then, like you said, I mean, you're in the bubble for 2 months, no family. You have their phone, you can FaceTime, but a couple of these guys, like a Blake Coleman, who was with the Devils to start the year, was acquired by the Lightning. He had just had his first child right before all of this started. So he's got a newborn at home, and here he is playing for the Stanley Cup for 2 months without, having a chance to hold his newborn daughter. It's not easy for these guys. So I guess you can see the argument that it's definitely different. But I don't think it's any easier. I think from everything you've heard from the players, whether it's from the players who made it all the way or even a round or two, it's not an easy bubble to be in. Even though the league set it up so well and they had all these amenities and whatnot, to be away from the family who are, all these guys rely on their families. Well, it's not easy for sure.
No, and Kevin Shattenkirk's another name that comes to mind. He had a 1-year-old that, you just don't see for a while. I think that's kind of emotionally draining. Let me ask you a couple. I know you had said you had 18 players come through there. Let me ask you a couple of the names. Obviously, Kucherov, I know, was up there. And, I mean, really, we don't need to ask about someone's thoughts on Nikita Kucherov. I think it's pretty well established how good he is. Let me ask you a name, and I saw that he played there. And he's one of these guys that just seems to not have lived up to the talent that he's had, and that's Jonathan Drouin over the years. What can you say about Jonathan Drouin up in Montreal?
Yeah, he was a guy, I just missed him here. I was an intern for a couple of years and then was gone. He had been drafted, so I was not here when he was here, but definitely a very talented player. But there was, I guess, just a little disconnect between him and the organization or something at some point where it just didn't work out the way the way the organization envisioned or the way he envisioned. And there was definitely some weird scenarios where, the Lightning wanted to send him here to Syracuse. He didn't want to come here. The team suspended him for a bit. finally he decided to come and get some games here in the American Hockey League to work on his development again and get his way back to Tampa. But I tell you, the Lightning did a great job of getting a great asset when they traded Drouin to Montreal. Yep. They got Mikhail Sergachev, who, I mean, he's going to be a heck of a defenseman. He's only 21 years old, and he's already one of the top defensemen in the league, I would imagine. And he's up for a contract this summer, this offseason, which the Lightning have some difficulties with their cap situation. He's one of the guys they need to re-sign, but it didn't work out here in Tampa Bay or in Syracuse for Jonathan Drouin, but I think the Lightning made the best out of that scenario in getting a great defenseman. And Drouin's been pretty good for Montreal. Is he that number 3 overall pick that the Lightning took him at? I don't know, but he's definitely a talented player, and I think it's more that consistency more than anything that has held him back over the years.
Yeah, it's interesting you said Sergachev, because when the Rangers traded McDonough to Tampa on trade deadline day, it originally was reported that he was one of the pieces coming to New York, and we were all excited. And then later that day it came out it wasn't, and it would have been great to have him. Let me ask you one more player, and he's obviously a guy in the tri-state area that grew up here. He plays here now for the Devils, and I don't know if you were there when he was there, but what can you say about Kyle Palmieri?
Yeah, well, Palmieri was here when it was not a Lightning affiliation. It was the Anaheim Ducks. He was with the Ducks organization at the time. He's a great guy, though. He was fun to watch here in Syracuse. He put up some electric numbers with the Crunch, and he has carried that over. You can kind of tell he had that skill level that was going to translate from the American Hockey League to the NHL, and it certainly has wherever he's been. And obviously, he's been a big staple in the Devils lineup for a number of years. But yeah, great guy. He was fun to watch here in Syracuse, and I don't think anyone was surprised that he has made it where he is, and he's had a really solid NHL career so far.
Okay, I would agree, and hopefully the Devils can find a way to get him back, because I know there are some rumors of him not coming back this way next season. Yeah. What is your guess, crystal ball? And I know this is a really impossible question for you to answer. Crystal ball, what's the NHL season, AHL season going to look like next year? The NHL has really come out and said, we're not going to do bubbles again. You can't do a bubbles in a regular season format, obviously, with all 31 teams. One of the rumors being floated around, because the international travel is difficult, is do this Canadian division, where all the Canadian teams stay in Canada. But what do you see happening, if you had to guess?
Yeah, I think, that rumor has definitely been floating around, and it seems to have some legs to it, which is understandable given where we are. So I would not be surprised if there is a season, if that's the way, at least for this upcoming season, the league has to go with a Canadian division where they're just playing each other. And boy, that'd be fun. There's some good teams in Canada right now. Yep. You look at some of the moves that some of those Canadian teams have made. So I think I would not be surprised if it's a more regional season upcoming with the Canadian division and then some of the teams in the Northeast clumping together and the South and whatnot. We'll see how they have to shape it all up. But if there's a season, I imagine that'd be the way they have to go for at least for the regular season. I don't know once they get to the playoffs if they go back to bubbles, or if maybe, hopefully by that point we've got something where there's some fans and we can have some more open travel. But I guess who knows? So the NHL, at least they have some TV deals in place where they can make do with whether it's limited capacity in attendance or whatever it might be. But the American Hockey League, boy, that's a more difficult scenario, because we don't have TV deals here in the AHL. Yeah, we're on the radio and whatnot, but none of these teams are racking in big TV money. So for the American Hockey League, we rely heavily on attendance, and for the Crunch, we average we've got a building at seats 6,000. We get about 5,500 every night at least. So you can't really do that these days, obviously, with limited attendance, whatever it might be. It's going to be a challenge for a lot of American Hockey League teams to have a season and have it successfully if attendance is so limited. So I don't know. A lot of the teams now in the AHL are owned by their NHL affiliates, which, NHL teams are not making a whole lot of money these days. So they're not going to be looking to lose a whole lot more money. And then you've got like the Crunch, or an independently owned organization. So there's competing factors at play in the AHL, which makes it, I think, more challenging to come to an agreement on how a season will go forward as opposed to the NHL. So your guess is as good as mine. I know the NHL has moved their target back to January, and who knows if that'll happen. Bill Daly, I think, said maybe even February at this point. So hopefully there's something, right, whether it's a full season or at least a partial season, I don't know. But fingers crossed that we have some sort of hockey coming up to get us through the winter.
Got it. So let me ask you one last question, since you're the AHL guy for sure. You know way more than us. We try to focus a lot here. And they're up in Wolfpack. What can you tell me about what they have up there? You think they have some young guys that can make it to the big squad?
Yeah, I tell you, Hartford last year was they got off to a tremendous start. Part of it was because they had the likes of Igor Shesterkin, who was just dynamite for Hartford to start the season. And I remember, I mean, the Crunch and the Wolfpack only play twice a year. It's the AHL is. I was talking about the NHL being a regional league. The AHL is very regional. So we play teams like Binghamton, Rochester, and Utica 10, 12 times a year, but only play Hartford twice. So actually, I think it might have been 4 times this year. We play one team in the other division 4 times. Either way, didn't see them a whole lot, but they were a really talented team. They've got a lot of young prospects coming through, and obviously Shesterkin is now up in New York to stay. But he was obviously one of the big reasons why Hartford was where they were. But they do have some talent. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue to develop. And obviously the Rangers and their rebuilding process has gotten a lot quicker than they anticipated. And they've gotten a lot of young guys. And you win the lottery a couple of years in a row doesn't hurt either. You get the number 1 pick this year, number 2 last year. So I think the Rangers are going to be good. Part of it is you get those players who jump in right away. But yeah, they've been making steady progress in Hartford the last couple of years. They weren't good a few years ago, but they've definitely made progress, and we'll see where it goes and leads now into New York.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for joining us. Come back. We are on every week. Anytime you want to come on and talk hockey, obviously we can go the NHL route or the AHL route, whatever you want to do. Come back and join us again. Thanks for joining us, Lucas.
I got one for you before you go. Lucas, one player to keep our eye on that might be making the transition from the AHL to the NHL.
Ooh, good one. Look at
Oh
you.
gosh. Holy cow.
Man.
Wow.
Well, you see so many guys over the years. I gotta try to even think. The problem is it's been 6 months since I've seen a lot of these guys playing hockey. True. I gotta rack my brain and think which teams and well, that's a tough one.
It could be one of your good buddies on the Syracuse Crunch. Just one person to keep an eye on.
I'd say from a Lightning perspective, because obviously I see these guys more than anything. We're looking at defensively Cal Foote, son of Adam Foote, who has been here in Syracuse for a couple of years. He's a defenseman, so he's probably knocking on the door to the NHL. And his brother actually was part of the trade the Lightning made with the Devils. Nolan Foote is now in the Devils organization, first-round pick of the Lightning last year. So we'll see about Cal Foote. And the Crunch also have had a dynamic player in Alex Barre-Boulet, who led the league or was second in the league in goals. This past year, led the league in goals 2 years ago. So he's a guy with the Lightning, like I said, cap trouble. They're going to have to bring in some young guys, and those are 2 of the guys who might at some point this upcoming season find their way to the Lightning roster. And I wish I had someone else from a different team, but like I said, it's been 6 months since I've seen hockey, so a little more challenging to remember some of these names these days.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it comes back soon. I'll try and make it up to Syracuse when the Wolfpack are up there that one time a year. We'll see if we can make it work. But thanks for joining, Lucas. We'll have you back on anytime you want to come on. Let us know.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye. And that
great guest.
Yeah, great. Great guest. Knows everything. Love it. And even you firing in some little hockey questions. They're gonna start calling you.
I'm trying my best.
We're gonna start calling you the Maven.
Ooh.
Dougie Maven Friedman, not Sticks. We're gonna drop the Sticks and go Maven. Promotion.
I like it.
Promotions. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining in on the show. Hopefully our Week 7 picks that we gave you earlier in the program hit. We can go back to our winning ways. Right now, again, we have 4 winning weeks and 2 losing weeks. We're going to try and get back on the winning side of things. So again, send your questions any you like. Easiest way to do so is mypbshow@gmail.com. We will try to incorporate some of them next show. I promise we will. I will make sure we get some questions in next week. That'll be a plan. We'll add that in the program and tune in because I'm sure Old Man Who Bets will be coming on in future shows.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll be making an appearance, and Lucas will be back. And we have some other guests lined up to come in coming weeks that you do not want to miss. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week as we fly through October. We're in the second half already, an inch closer to Halloween. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your day.